There are certain things we say far too often, especially when someone's going through a hard time, that we need to stop saying ASAP. We all go through challenging stretches in life. Some of us, undoubtedly, far more challenging than others, but we all know what it's like to go through a difficult time. Yet, no matter how much experience we have with getting ourselves out of an unpleasant situation, it's amazing how many of us still have no idea what to say when someone that we care for is overcome with pain, sadness, or hardship. Instead, we tend to turn to one of a seemingly endless number of cliche statements that the recipient may pretend to be comforted by, but deep down receives no true support from, and in some cases may even be offended by it. Assuming that we'd all ideally like to be capable of providing a level of true support to the people that we care for, I've compiled a short list of cliche statements that we've been led to believe are appropriate in certain situations, but in reality are far from it. My source for these statements? I was recently part of a team that posed a question to a very large audience, asking them to share a phrase that instantly bothered them upon hearing it. While a good number of the 2,000 plus responses that we received were more on the harmless or personal preference side of things, we were taken aback by how many of the most common answers pertain to things that people are generally told when they're going through a challenging time. Not only did answers of this nature appear the most frequently, but they were also the most liked and agreed upon by other respondents. So let's start with some of the things we need to stop saying, and then I'll dive into some of the alternatives we can say or do to actually help, which we should want to do because the world desperately needs that. The first one is, consider yourself lucky or others have it worse. As true as it may be that yes, in virtually every tough situation that someone finds themselves in, there is always someone, if not thousands of someones, that most would say are going through a far worse experience than that person currently is. It still doesn't change the fact that this person in this moment is struggling with their current experience. So even though this cliche may seem designed to help someone look on the bright side, to drop another cliche statement, we need to recognize how it also holds the potential to disrespect the magnitude of what they're going through. We all process things differently, so respect their struggle rather than unintentionally belittle their circumstance with this cliche comparison crap. A second is, they're in a better place now. Of course, the most common context in which this cliche is used is when someone close to us has lost a loved one, a situation that is never easy. As sweet as it may seem to remind them of the widely held belief that what exists beyond is better than what planet Earth has to offer, how does that actually help? First, it assumes that they believe in something beyond, which should never be assumed even if you think you know someone's religious or spiritual beliefs. Second, if this person is struggling with the loss of this person, clearly they cared for them and wish that they were still here with them. So from their current perspective, are they really in a better place? Sure, the deceased may be relieved of the physical pain or discomfort that unfortunately so many of us experience in the later stages of our life, but again, from purely the perspective of the person presently suffering that you are hoping to support, they miss them and wish that they were here. So respect that. Third, and this one is a tough one for me to say because I hate to admit how many times I've said it personally, but everything happens for a reason. Even if you are like me and you believe in this statement long term, it doesn't change the fact that short term, it doesn't help the person going through a tough time. Right now, they're struggling with whatever the hardship is, and that's what you, as their friend, should be focused on supporting them through. Fourth is, no offense, but while this may seem a bit harsh to say to someone that's going through a tough time, we unfortunately, for some reason, do seem to take these opportunities to use this statement and get our true feelings off our chest. For example, a friend of yours is struggling with the heartbreak of a breakup. You never particularly liked their now ex-partner.
No.
So as part of comforting them, you decide to say, no offense, but I never really thought they were that great. Sure, the intention may be to temporarily put a smile on their face by helping them realize that they are now better off without them, in your opinion. But you are also at some level calling your friend, who is currently struggling with heartbreak, stupid for even having dated them in the first place. They are clearly hurt right now, so respect the relationship for what it was to them and let them process the termination of it how they choose to. Fifth is, I love that for you. This statement too may not seem applicable when dealing with a friend's hardship, but again, we do it. For example, your friend was recently unexpectedly fired from their job and is having a tough time coping with their now jobless reality. You, from your high horse of knowing them so well, have always felt they should pursue a career in something else. So you decide to say, now you can go and pursue that career in finance. I love that for you. Whether or not your friend would actually be well suited for a career in finance, their current state of struggle is typically not the best environment to be offering unsolicited career advice. The sixth and final cliche statement that I personally love as lyrics from Tupac, but can't stand when I hear it used in the world, is that's just the way it is. When you really think about it, in the context of someone going through a tough time, how on earth did this become an acceptable and commonly used response? In what world would anyone going through something get even the slightest degree of comfort from being told that what happened, happened because that's how things happen? I guess at some level, it's to hopefully help alleviate some of the blame that the person may be currently thrusting upon themselves and instead directing it towards something that is out of their control. But they are struggling right now, and we need to do better than just remind them of how things apparently are. Some honorable mentions to keep in mind that I won't elaborate on include you do you, calm down, get over it, it'll happen when you least expect it, and just ignore them. So now that we know what to stop saying, what can we say and or do instead? The first one that when I had someone explain it to me really took me aback because of its seeming simplicity, yet incredible power, is that really sucks. When caught up in the crux of a challenging situation, you'd be amazed by how many people find an incredible degree of support in you simply and genuinely acknowledging the unpleasantness of their current situation. It shows them that you are here, and it validates what they are currently experiencing. In time, they may need to be helped in a more elaborate way, but right now, they could benefit from you just being there and respecting what they're going through. A second is take whatever time you need. Right now, for the person overwhelmed by hardship, it's hard for them to give much, if any, attention to anything else. That may shift after they manage to get some sleep, or it might take quite some time. Even if you shortly do need to play a role in helping them move forward rather than linger in it, right now they could benefit from being told that this is all they need to focus on, and you are here to help make that reality more possible for them. A third, typically helpful response that is definitely related to the first one I mentioned is I'm sorry that you're going through this. When a challenging situation is raw, there is an incredible power to be found in someone genuinely expressing their love for you and wishing that things could have gone otherwise. Even if the person struggling doesn't presently process it, it's still available to them and is better than just thrusting one of those cliche statements we covered earlier in the video. The fourth and final one is by far the most powerful, and it actually doesn't involve saying anything in particular. It simply involves listening. And I mean truly listening. It's amazing how many of us absolutely suck at listening, opting to instead preoccupy our minds with other thoughts, or even worse, assume what is being said by the other and use the time that they are talking to predetermine our response. As complicated as humans may seem, we're also generally quite simple if we actually pay attention. So learning to be a better listener is fantastic advice for life in general. But especially when someone you know is going through a hard time, the least you can do is genuinely listen to what they are saying. You might just be surprised by how easy it is to truly tune in to what is best to be said as a result.